Hi, and welcome to another episode of Async File. As you might have guessed, in this video, I'm going to talk about stack data structure and its implementation in JavaScript. Though the video uses JavaScript, but the concepts and the algorithm used to create this data structure would be the same, so that you can implement it in your own favorite programming language without any hassle. So let's see how to create a stack in JavaScript. Stacks is a LIFO structure. Last in, first out. The last element to be inserted to the list would be the first element to be deleted. So a stack consists of nodes. Nodes are nothing but an object which have two attributes: a data part to store the data of the quote data structure unquote, and the reference to the next node in the list. Initially, when created, this next portion would be set to null and the data of the node will be supplied by the user. Stacks are restricted by two operations: push aka insertion and pop aka deletion. Stack has a reference to the top node and the process of insertion and deletion takes place through the top node. Aside from these two methods, a stack generally contains a helper method to check if the stack is empty or not, a method to display the stack, and a method to take a look at this top node. So let's see how push operation happens. The first step of push operation is to create a new node. When a new node is created, it requires the data which will be passed down from the push method and during the initialization, and the next portion would be null. Then the new node's next portion would be set to contain the reference which the top is currently referencing. So at this stage, both the top and the new node's next portion would point to the same node. Then the top would be set to contain the reference to the new node, and the new node will be inserted into the stack. Now let's see how a pop operation looks like. Let's say at some given point the stack looks like this. To remove the top node, we have to simply shift the top node to the node that the top's next portion is holding. Since the first node is not being referenced, the JavaScript's garbage collector will free the memory and hence the node will be deleted. So the final stack would look like this after deletion. Pretty neat, right? So let's see how to implement it in JavaScript. The actual code would be there. To create a stack, first of all, we need to create a node. So to create a node, we will use the class node and a constructor, and the data would be passed into the constructor so that when the node object is created, the data would be initialized by the user and the next would be initialized to null. Then the class stack. We will write a constructor function that will define the top, which will initially be set to null. Then the isEmpty method that will return true if the top is null. Now the push method will accept a data, and we will create a new object of the node class with the data that is received from the push function. The new node's next portion would contain the top element that is currently pointed by this.top, and the this.top, which is the top, would now be pointing to the new node. So let's go to the pop. If the stack is empty, then we are simply going to return. Otherwise, we will shift the top to the top's next portion. Now the peek method. If the list is empty, then we will return -404 as an indication that the list is empty and there is no front or the top. Otherwise, we will return this.top.data. So the data portion of the top. Now for the display, we will check if the stack is empty or not. If the stack is empty, there is nothing to print, so it's simply going to return. Then we are going to take a variable cur, which will point to the top node. Then we are going to print the statement top to indicate the top element. Now we will use a while loop to traverse through the whole stack. So while cur.next is true, so the cur's next portion exists. So this while loop will stop at the very last node. It will not print the last node, it will stop at the very last node. So inside the while loop, we will print out the data portion of the cur. So process.stdout.write cur.data and an arrow and a semicolon. Then we will shift the cur to the cur's next portion. So cur is equals to cur.next. We will go out of the loop and print the very last node. So process.stdout.write cur.data. And a /n. Now we are going to write the driver code. So we will create an IFE to create a new code workspace. So function, which will be an anonymous one, and we will immediately call it. Inside the function, we will create a stack, which would be an object of the stack class. Then we are going to push some data into the stack. So stack.push5. Let's copy it down a couple of times and change the data. So 10, 15, 20 and 25. Then we're going to display the stack. So stack.display. Let's run the code. So node stack.js. Yep, it's working. So let's see the pop method is working or not. So stack.pop and let's copy it down. Then again display the stack.display. Let's see if this works or not. Perfect. Let's see if the peek method is working or not. So console.log stack.peek parenthesis is the top element of the stack. Let's run it. Yep, it's working. Perfect. So this was stack using linked list in JavaScript.